Hello, and welcome back to France Made Simple, the podcast where I demystify life in France and debunk some of the many myths that surround living and working here. And today we have a guest in the studio who has been on our show before, Paul Robson, and we are going to be talking about renting gites. I know this is a topic that comes up again and again, both on the podcast and the website. People have lots of questions, so hopefully we'll be able to put you straight on some things and clarify certain issues that might arise if you're running a gite. So, hello, Paul, and thank you very much for coming in this morning.
No, thanks, Kat, for inviting me along. It's just before UK tax season kicks off, so this is a nice time of year to do this sort of podcast.
Right. So, excuse me. We're talking about gites this morning, and I suppose the first question that comes up, and this is people's real starting point question, is can I run a gite in France?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, today I think I'll talk about can you run a gite, should you run a gite, and then we'll get into the tax. Otherwise, people are going to get very bored after about 5 minutes. So let's do can to start with, because
let's start with can.
If you can't do can, you can't do the rest. So
No, absolutely.
this is changing. This is changing. So first of all, the can. Are you personally allowed to do it? So if you're a French citizen or you've got a withdrawal agreement card, yeah, not a problem. You personally can do it. If you've got a visa, especially if you're just a visitor, a bit more interesting. So you need to check. So some categories very easy, very clear. Others make sure. Then you've got to check, are you allowed to run the gite where you want to run it? Now, up until last year, that was not too bad. You went along to the mairie, you had a word with Mary, you checked, you filled forms in, and then they came back with a stamp on and a signature like, thank you very much. Now, this is changing this year. It was meant to change in May with a new national register, new register, no gite, large fines if you didn't do it. What seems to be happening this week, and again, I'm still asking our local mairie what's going on, is they put this new national register back till the summer or autumn. Good idea. But first of all, check you can do it. At a minimum, you need to be able to do it. You need to check with the mairie. And then there might be this national register thing as well. So just keep your eye on the internet there.
Okay, well, that's really good to know because I'm actually, this is an interesting point as well. I'm actually going to be renting my house out for the first time ever this year. And that's kind of why I'm going back down southwest next week to meet with people who will do the kind of changeovers and key holding and get things organised. So I didn't know that I need to go to the mairie and check for starters. I know I can run it as I have French nationality. But are gites the same? Are we talking Airbnb and gites? Are they one and the same, or are they treated slightly differently?
They're effectively one and the same. So if you think about gites as this big box where you put your house into, Airbnb, Gites de France, Booking.com, they're all just, or direct, they're all just ways of letting your gite out. So you've got to have the permission to start with to do it. Then it's up to you if you want to do Airbnb or you want to do it directly or you want to use Booking or Verbo, your choice. But they will, certainly when this new national register comes in, they will be asking for a number, 13-digit number allegedly, though it's France, the rules will probably change again. A new number, they will do it for you. And if you do it on the black, which as an accountant I'd say never, never, never do this, you can be in for very big fines. So have a word with the mairie. If you're in a rural area, they'll probably be delighted to get some more tax income. So thank you very much and bring people to the local bar. This is mainly targeted people, areas like Paris and Lyon with huge housing pressure. So if you're planning on letting out a house in the middle of France, middle of Paris, the mairie might not be so keen. But you're in the rural areas, they're going to go, yeah, thank you, income is good. Yeah, here's the bit of paper, do this, ka-chink.
Okay. Well, I'm lucky I get on very well with my mayor after we had a big storm about 2-3 years ago and there was no power for several days and he sent lots of people round with generators. And so I took him and his secretary, a massive box of chocolates and a 6-pack of beer. And ever since then, he's been my bestest buddy. So because I was so appreciative. I was on my own at the time. My husband was working in the UK and I was so appreciative that somebody turned up pulled my fridge out and hooked it up to a generator. It was just, I was like, wow, this is the upside of living in rural France.
Absolutely. Imagine getting that in the UK. It wouldn't happen, would it? It
No,
simply wouldn't happen.
it would not happen. So next question. So we know, can you run a gite? Should you run a
Yeah.
gite?
Yeah. Should you run a Gite? And this is where you need to do a few numbers, and I help people a bit in this sometimes, but just think about it. First of all, the tying. Unless you delegate all the maintenance and cleaning, and again, if you're off in a different part of the country, you need to do that. Yeah, but then you're going to pay for it. And will you make any money? Guests tend to like personal welcomes, and it costs to run a Gite. I mean, we've got 5. You've got the taxes on having the Gite to start with, which, you've got to pay. Energy costs. I mean, I have solar panels, but the energy costs are still slightly making me cry a little bit. There's maintenance, there's welcome gifts, there's fixing damages. Then there's all the platform fees, which aren't cheap as well. You need to do a bit of social media and probably a website. So they add up. And then people sometimes think, oh, great, I've got a Gite, I'll rent it out half the year. It's not going to happen. Unless it's the middle of Paris or the middle of Lyon, it's not going to happen. So my advice would be sit down, do some rough numbers first and go, is it worth us spending the time doing that? So if you're going to be in the house most of the time and it's a little bolt onto income and it's next door and you're going to do it over the summer months when you're going to be there, yeah, why not? But if you're saying, yeah, we're going to buy a Gite half an hour away, we want to run it the whole year and we need it to work 25% of the time or 50% of the time to pay off, have a think. Do you want to do
Mm,
this? It's not a pathway to riches.
no. And what's your sort of damage tally like? Do you get a lot of damage from people staying, or is it fairly minimal, just kind of general wear and tear?
Varies. We live on site, so it does help because we tell people if anything goes wrong, come and tell us.
Mm.
But you do find showers mysteriously come detached from walls and you've got to fix things. Mysterious floods happen, you've got to change the flooring. One infamous instance, somebody blocked the sink and decided to do their own plumbing, so it flooded the bathroom. Um, and then there's
Great.
just general wear and tear on the furniture. I mean, it happens. And again, we have insurance, but you know what insurance is like. If you claim with
Hmm.
insurance, your premium goes up. So we save that for something catastrophic. Um,
Yeah.
we did once have a wall fall down in the middle of winter, which was entertaining. Happily, nobody was underneath it. Nobody got killed, but it was quite good TV when they filmed it. It was like, oh yeah, great. Yeah, half the wall of the house is done, but
Wow.
that's a bit rarer. That's a bit rarer, but you will have wear and tear, and yeah. And you've got to have decent stuff in there. I mean,
Yeah.
what you don't want is people coming to Gite going, the kitchen's 10 years old, the bed I can't sleep in, it's frigid in the middle of spring or autumn. You'll get
Yeah.
terrible reviews. You won't get business. So you've got to spend a bit of money to make it appealing. You've got to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think people's expectations have gone up massively over the last few years. People don't, 30, 40 years ago, my parents rented places out in France and kind of, it was like the shower curtains attacked you when you had a shower. And it was just furnished with everybody's old cast offs. And that was kind of par for the course. And that's just not acceptable these days, is it?
Exactly. You've got to be competitive, and you want people to want to come back. And then when they click the rating buttons on the online stuff, they click the right buttons. Because if you end up with a 4 out of 10, who's going to stay?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I guess the should category also includes is a personal thing, isn't it? Some people like having people around and interacting with their guests, and for other people, they'd rather chew their own arm off.
Yeah, you've got to be. Again, this is where we run it as a double act. My wife's the CEO of the Gites, and I'm just the gardener and the finance guy. So she's front of house. She loves chatting much more than me. Um, but the guests, some will want lots of chats, and they'll come in, and you'll have a glass of wine with them. Blah 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 blah. Others want to be left themselves. You got to flex to them.
Yeah,
If you visit them at the start and say, "Yeah, come and tell us at the end," and please don't come and talk to us. The ones who want to chat, it's not a good idea. So you've
no,
got to be able to flex. And if you're a massive introvert and don't like talking to people, again, not for you. Jeeps are not for you.
yeah, no, I would totally agree with that. So, can you get rich running sheets?
Maybe. So, hey, I'm an accountant. Maybe it's a good answer. If you've inherited prime property in Paris, which is already set up as a gite, yeah, you're going to do quite nicely. Thank you very much. If you buy a house in the middle of Paris and can't get permission to run it, yeah, you're not. Rural areas, unless you're renting out a 5-star bespoke complex and have spent serious amounts of money getting it up to 5-star status, you're going to get a nice top up, but don't rely on it as like the big primary source of income. So it helps. And
Yeah.
for us, it's part of our financial plans. It was never going to be the gites need to pay off X or we live on baked beans. I mean, don't plan it and say we're going to sink all our life savings into this and it's going to be great and the best gites in France. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Please
No.
don't.
And I guess, I've seen over the last few years with things like when COVID happened, and suddenly people couldn't. Yeah, exactly. Income goes right down. And equally, I guess this summer, there'll be so many people who are not flying anywhere because of fuel prices and not knowing where's going to be safe to go or where's going to be delayed due to airspace being closed. I would imagine that gite bookings will be quite up this year. People who maybe not plan to holiday in France will be looking at it as an option now.
Yeah, I think so. I think you can reasonably predict there'll probably be a bit more French booking than normal, which is good. Brits, the south coast, I mean, come on, it's dead easy to get to France. If you don't like flying, go in a boat. And if you don't like the boat, go in the tunnel. I mean, you can get here. And if you look at the internet fora, you can see people going, yeah, I would like to hire a gite in the middle of July. And because we're not going to go to the Middle East. And yeah, good. We can see this year might be good. I think the downside is petrol prices in the UK and France are sort of shooting up a bit. So people contemplating big drives and maybe going, do we want to do it? So we'll have to see. I think there'll be ups and downs this year, but
Yeah, I
happily,
think it.
cross fingers, no COVID. Please, no COVID.
No COVID. All right. So that's the sort of fluffy bit over with. Now let's get on to taxes.
Oh, I knew you'd come to taxes, the dreaded bit. And again, this is where I put this is all general guidance. Don't take this personal financial advice, particularly doing gites, because every year since we've been doing gites, the French government seems to have changed the law. So what I'm taking now is my interpretation of 2026 doesn't apply to the 2025 tax returns you're just doing now. And probably it will change again by 2027 because they like playing with it. So just be aware. They play every year.
All right.
Um,
So, any particular guidance for people, who are, I guess anybody already running gites will know what their sort of tax implication is likely to be, even if it's changing. I mean, everything changes in France, as you and I well know.
yeah,
And I always advise people to check information on the official French government websites rather than
yes.
hearsay or forums or my neighbour Steve says, blah, blah, blah. But key points on taxes. I've just lost Paul completely, so I'm going to stop this and hopefully reconnect.